because when it came to Shadowbringers, right, we had or like the Shadowbringers, we had the WoW Exodus, and it was COVID. It was a weird time, and this is going to be the first one where things are back to normal.
Yeah.
And we have that much time. And so are we going to have the same thing that we usually get, which is people start doing weird stuff like what sort of insane stuff can you do with Blue Mage? What sort of, can you create a like Pictomancer glam contest where you can only use abilities and emotes that are Pictoglam, but like Pictomancer, but while trying to clear Deliberate Regine Savage, like stuff like that. Just weird things. It'll be an interesting time for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too worried because I think we've seen most of there'll be drama posts, I think, but I think I would look back to the fall. That's where all of a sudden it was like the thing that I was just both amused by was how many people were coming out and going like, yeah, Brian was saying all this stuff a year ago and now everybody's caught up. Like, it's okay. Like, yeah, that's fair. Now, like if they're all like burned out, I'm kind of just like, oh yeah, now I'm hungry, boys. Let's go. Let's get this. Like I gotta lose the weight, but I still, you
can get rested.
Yeah, so that's where it's
Brian had his 14 fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it's been.
I'll say it again. Yoshi P is onto something, right? With like I know everyone doesn't like to hear it, but the taking a break turns out it actually tends to work.
I think it's an interesting discussion topic specifically on that because like I talked to a lot of the guys. Like I think what we started off with was like a forever game, or that just as a label. Not that it means that this is the one thing I'll play forever and never stop, but it's like that's the kind of the label, right? And then we grew up and we got busy, and all of a sudden we became nomads. And so it's like the MMO nomad, just kind of jumping around looking for something, hungry for that. Like I want that game that it's like I'm gonna put. Like I did back when I had all kinds of free time and no responsibilities. And it's like, the reality is like, I appreciate a game that lets me enjoy it. And also I'm not punished because I had another baby or something like that. Not me personally, but I was involved.
Really?
You say that.
Surprised if you had.
I am not shocked.
I got big news that we're breaking here today. Anyway, now, still at a rock solid 6, so we're rocking and rolling, ready to raid. Actually, that's the thing I'm really looking forward to.
Seventh child 7.0.
No, baby, I'm sorry. The internet's decided. Woo, that would be nuts. Anyway, yeah. So it's like,
please no, because then 7.0 would have to be delayed until end of the year.
Yeah,
so don't do that.
We'd have to target it. It's like, and then another channel was born. I think for the pre-orders, I think it obviously is going to be married to a live letter. They're going to sit down and talk about it and show it. Right. I don't know and they'll have it in
two hardest live letters to predict, though.
Right. And so when it's all said and done, like I'm assuming PAX West is coming back, and that is in or has been historically in March, and so that could be a really good time to have both that press. And who knows if, like, again, if they're targeting June, that could be the start of some level of media tour. Because if you're already coming over here, might as well, like, what do we double up on rather than saying, say, hey, we're going to hit PAX West.
Media tour is the last live letter. So it's a month out. So the media tour takes place a couple weeks before that, 4 to 6 weeks out. And then they have a live letter basically timed with the embargo.
Yeah.
And then you get to watch. And that opens with some presentation or whatever that is the same presentation that was given to people prior to getting access.
Yeah.
And then they get access to the game, and all of those videos have gone live, and there's a giant dump. Historically, when they were in person, limited access to content creators because there's a limited number of seats in the room. They're a physical location with physical PCs. So they have to choose, because it isn't just about satisfying the existing base. You guys are already pre-ordered. It's also about growing the game. So they do want non-traditional Final Fantasy XIV coverage in there from the big magazines, the big publishers, and even players who maybe are big in other MMO spaces. They get invited, and there's always a point of drama about that. Like, why do they get early access to our game? And it's because they're going to take it back to a community full of people who maybe have thought about playing. The goal is to sell more games. The goal of the media tour is to sell more games. It happens to get us really good information.
I've been lucky that we've been invited to well, I'm not gonna say where, but we've been invited to most of them in the past. So we have the Endwalk was the only one I was able to attend, because we normally get invited to the NA one, which means then I don't get to attend it, someone else does.
Sure.
So
Bummer.
Now,
yeah,
I dream
the last
of
one was
to be
digital,
invited, but
which
I doubt
changed
that
the
I will
game.
be
I
invited.
hope and pray for a digital media tour again.
Well, if nothing else, a
I
hybrid,
don't.
right? Like
Please
if they
don't.
do
Please
a
don't.
hybrid, that would be really cool. Because,
Sure.
but then like
really
with
hard
every
to
media
coordinate,
tour,
really expensive.
yeah.
The reason I hope for digital is it over doubled its size. When the in-person ones, everybody got an interview slot. You might share that interview slot with another person. So there'd be 2 people asking every other question. But so when Brian and I went in person to an undisclosed location, we were sitting next to a representative on behalf of Reddit, who at the time strongly disliked a tiny little channel that was growing called Works a Game. And so they were thrilled to share every other question with us, I'm sure. I adore the Reddit community. I think maybe they've come around on us, but it was at the moment I could see in the face of the person that it was like, pick anybody else. And they were so much more organized, and they had their questions already typed up in Japanese, and we were like, I don't know, I wrote some stuff on a napkin. So there was no plan. The second media tour we were invited to was Endwalker. It was digital. What I liked about it was way more people included. It was much broader, larger creators, smaller creators, people from inside of the game, people from outside of the game. That did mean there were actually more interviews given out, but the total media tour size grew so much that there were a lot of people like us that did not get an interview slot. I think that's very valid. Yoshi actually gave more interviews. We got more questions. I built a big spreadsheet where I categorized all the questions I could find. It was way more questions. And it came across a much broader set of topics because some of the interviews were given to people who haven't played the game. So some of those questions felt a little bit like, we already know the answer, because I know I felt that way. But some of them got answers that I didn't expect, because they asked a question that we have heard asked 20 times and it's always been answered the same way. And Yoshibi said, well, we've actually been working on that, and here's some things that changed. And so I think that was, it resulted in a really good media tour. Don't get me wrong, selfishly, as a person who got to go to an in-person one, if I was ever invited to a media tour again, in-person was so cool.